Hi everyone, how's it going? I'm not looking as crisp today as I did yesterday. Um, Not freshly moisturized, I guess. So I was looking through some past posts of mine on Facebook, and it brought back a memory of mine from 2016. I've deleted it now because there was too much revealed on it. But basically, it brought back memories of my ovaries being fired on. There was at one period where I lived in supported housing. It wasn't supported housing, but it was like a shared house. And my neighbors from the bathroom over, they had a laptop and they also had electronic weapons that they would fire on me as nauseum. I used to call them out all the time online, and I used to always talk about what they were doing. Um, but yeah, they used to fire weapons on my ovaries every single chance they got. And if they weren't firing weapons on my ovaries, they were firing weapons on my throat. I'm not entirely sure why. Like, I can't think of why that was. I probably cussed them out and said something that hurt their feelings, because that's what perps normally do. Every time you say something to hurt their feelings, they try to do something like really heinous like that. So they were firing weapons on my ovaries, and they were also firing weapons on my throat. And and that happened for years while I was there. Every single time I was in the bathroom taking a bath, they were firing weapons on my womb and on my reproductive system. And that's probably one of the reasons why I have like so much problems with my period cycle. And it's not the fact that I have periods or don't have them. It's just that there's so much going on and I lose so much blood every single time. And it's probably because of everything that happened, not only during supported housing, but everything that's going on now, because I still get weapons fired on me. But it's just not as bad as it used to be. It's nowhere near as bad as it was like when I was back in London. And it's only now that I'm kind of realizing that. When I think about the amount of shit that I've been through, it knocks me sideways. It really knocks me sideways, and it really makes me question how I'm still alive right now. And I don't understand, like, and the amount of times that I was fired on my chest and in my chest, not just with like sonar weaponry, but also with like microwave weaponry. My chest used to be burning constantly. There was on one particular occasion where it got so bad and I was fired on my heart so often that I used to send message after message to different people online, here on Facebook. Some of them said, oh, it's too stressful. I got to back out like the fucking bitches they are. I've been through so much in my life. I'm really, really bitter. I'm so bitter. I can't even begin to tell you the amount of abuse that I've been through. And I have called for help for so many people whilst having my organs fired on, my reproductive system fired on, my heart fired on, my kidneys fired on, my teeth in pain. The amount of people that fucking showed their ass whilst I was going through all of this. I think the reason why I spend so much energy, or I have spent so much energy focusing on what people say about me, is because if I had to actually think about how awful most of the people around me have been to me, if I have to really think about it, and none of it is to kill me, that's the worst part. None of it was to kill me. All of it was to put me in a situation that was so bad that I prayed for death to come. And that's the whole point of gang stalking. To wear you down so much that you don't want to live anymore. The worst part about this is that what I've been through is not even the worst of it. I'm trying to fight back tears right now. I'm trying not to cry. What I have been through is not even the worst of it. There are people who have... Hold on. There are people who have been given cancers and strokes, like in the case of my mum. There are people who have been have had induced heart attacks. And people who have had their children... God, I just can't. I just can't. I've been through so much shit in my life. But I think the worst part about this is that doesn't even touch the surface of how evil human beings can be. The amount of abuse that I've been through, the burning of my ovaries, the fucking, the damaging of my ovaries, the damaging of my back, the damaging of my heart, my kidneys, my lymph nodes, my fucking thyroid, all the damage that I've sustained over the years and all the shit that I've put up with, that doesn't even scratch the surface of how evil human beings can be. And I am incredibly bitter. I am incredibly bitter. I've been reckless. I have to admit, I've been reckless. And I have weaponized the truth. I've done all those things. But I did it because I think deep down I kind of knew that no one really cared. They wanted to show up in my life to try to convince themselves that they were good people. That's just like they do with all TIs. They want to show up in our lives to try to convince themselves that they're good people and they're being good Samaritans, when really they're selfish as hell. How are so many people aware of what's going on with electronic weaponry? How are people so many people aware of what's going on in terms of abuse, in terms of all these horrific and sick things going on? How are so many people aware of this? And instead of banding together in one voice and saying, you know what, we're not going to take this shit. Instead, we've got people skulking in corners and refusing to believe what's right in front of them. I'm looking back through all the years, I'm thinking, I really went through that much shit on my own? My ovaries being fired on, my throat being fired on, my brain being fired on. Now it's still happening now. My heart being fired on. And not even doing it to kill me, but to kill my will to survive. And this is the really horrible part. When these motherfuckers push you far enough, they don't even kill your will to live. They kill your will to die. They kill your will to have any sense of self-preservation or they want to kill every single shred of self-preservation in you, every shred of self-interest in you, every shred of your own self-worth in you with this shit. To the point where you can't even be suicidal anymore because you're too, not because you want to live and not because you want to be present in this world, but you can't even be bothered to want to end your life anymore because you're too fucking tired. And in the meantime, whilst you're too tired to want to end your life, you have to put up with people trying to make you infertile, people trying to give you cancer, people trying to give you strokes, people trying to give you heart attacks, people trying to lock you up in mental health prison for what? What? Those people got away with so much. I didn't understand back then when I was living in that shared house and those people were firing weapons on me, and not even just spying on me in the bathroom, spying on everybody, every other female that walked up in there too. That fucking house that I was living in was a miniature version of the Stanford experiment. The amount of shit these people got away with. I didn't understand. I didn't realize. I was too busy feeling ashamed of myself because I was revealing too much about what I was going through. I was so busy feeling ashamed and so busy trying to fight off that shame. It didn't even occur to me the horrors that were taking place in London and the horrors that are taking place now. I was too busy hating myself. The shit that these people have gotten away with, and they have the nerve, the fucking gall to victimize themselves. Imagine. It's okay because their descendants are going to pay for their fucking actions. No good deed goes unpunished. No good deed goes unpunished. And here's the thing about it, right? Time, like I said, time is not an apology. But it is a fucking judge. They're not going to get away with this. They are not going to get away with this. Firing on my fucking ovaries to the point where it was visibly, the sides where my ovaries were visibly swollen. That cunt family were firing weapons on my ovaries 2016 to the point where they were visibly fucking swollen. They're not going to get away with it. They're not going to get away with it. They sold their souls. But there's going to come a time where their souls are not fucking enough. And they're going to have to pay that debt. I can't wait. I cannot wait. I cannot wait until all these gang stalkers get their just desserts, and they will. Thinking you could fucking damage somebody's organs to get away with it. Again, time is not an apology, but it's a fucking judge. If I can pay for the stuff that I did when I was a kid, and I know I've been paying for it, if I can pay for the stuff that I did as a kid, if I can pay for the words that come out of my mouth, then you better fucking believe that the people who have been damaging my organs and trafficking me and talking shit, they're going to have their price to pay too. The people who have been lying about my mental health, they're going to have their prices to pay as well. The people who have been damaging my organs and the organs of God knows how many people around this country, they're going to have their karma to pay. Because time doesn't fucking play. Time doesn't fucking play. And the harder your heart is, the further you have to fall. I can't wait. So yeah, 2016. The post isn't on here anymore, but there were 2 places where my ovaries were swollen from the electronic radiation damage. And remembering that, it kind of made me understand all over again exactly how bad this program is and exactly how much my perps do not deserve sympathy at all. They don't deserve sympathy. They really don't. Not after what they've done. And the people engaging in V2K, your time's coming up too. About you want to fucking put voices in people's head telling them to kill themselves. You're going to get yours. And I know that's not the only type of shit you've been saying. You're going to get yours. But anyway, yeah. I just came online to vent, really. It just really goes to show there's no point in lying or living a double life when you're a TI, because if you're going to be, I've oscillated over the years, right? There was one time where I thought, there's no point in lying. And I was right, but that was because I was being reckless, because I knew nobody really cared about me and what I was going through. And then then I started caring about myself. And then it was like, I can understand why people are being diplomatic, or I can understand why the perps are doing what they're doing. And now I've kind of come back into the honesty portion of it. But this time it's because I have love for myself in a way that I never used to. And there isn't just me to think about anymore. That's over with. Like, we've got children going missing. We've got bigotry on the rise. We've got people being killed. And gang stalking has been the crux of all of that, because the whole point of gang stalking is to annihilate smaller nations or smaller movements at their nucleus. And what's the nucleus? The mind and the nervous system. So this is bigger than individuals. This has been bigger than individuals. This is about everyone. And all the horrible things that have taken place in the world. I don't need to go into details. I'm not going to name specifics because I don't want this video reported. But all the major events that have happened in the world recently. And we all know what type of technology has been increasingly widespread. And we know the type of propaganda that has been attached to people who are critical of that technology. And we know what kind of political landscape we're going to be looking at when Pluto enters Aquarius in the Western astrology. I'm just saying. Okay? All of that, gang stalking is at the crux of it. And I know it sounds far-fetched, but again, it's like a military operation. Before you start a full-scale operation into any endeavor, you've got to have some sort of recon first. You've got to send a small amount of people in to survey everything, or to survey as much as possible. And then you can decide whether or not you want to engage in everything full scale with all your manpower and all your arsenal. That's exactly what this is. That's exactly what gang stalking is. Before they experiment on the rest of the world, before they, enforce their social control on the rest of the world, first of all, they have to test out how it works on targeted individuals. So that's part of the reason why we're going through this. It's social control. And it's human trafficking, yeah, but it's also about behavioral control and social control. So when they do shit like burn your ovaries and shit, first of all, it's basically a glorified, It's basically a glorified Stanford experiment where you've got people playing the guards and people playing the prisoners. The TIs are the prisoners and the perps are the guards, but they're both heading towards the same cattle. They're both heading towards the same slaughterhouse. I can't talk because I've got, I've been having weapons fired on my brain, so my ability to speak is limited. But the perps and the TIs are heading towards the same slaughterhouse. They're having weapons fired on them as well as having weapons fired on us. It's just that it was a little bit easier for them to be damaged already because they were already shit houses of people anyway. So it's a little bit easier to go to work on them than it is to go to work on us. And that's how this society works. The strongest ones are always weaponized against. And just trying to reply to this comment or respond to this comment. All right, so yeah, but that doesn't make me feel any better. It doesn't make me feel better about any of this, knowing that the perps are headed for the same slaughterhouse we are. It doesn't make me feel any better. If anything, it just makes me feel worse. Because why the fuck are you doing this to me if you're just going to end up in the same situation and your descendants are just going to end up in worse situations than I am? Why are my fucking ovaries being burned and swollen? Why is my heart being burned and swollen? Why are my kidneys being burned and swollen? Why is my thyroid being fucked with? Why is my lymphatic system and my bones? Why are my lymphatic system and my bones being fucked with? My skeletal system? Why am I sustaining brain damage every single day? Why am I having to go through all of this just for you to end up in the same situation as me and your descendants to end up in an even worse situation than either of us? Why are you doing this? So not only are the perps terrible people, they're also self-destructive in a way that I couldn't rival with if I tried. I'm so angry. I am so fucking angry. Like this situation is crazy. This situation is crazy. The only small comfort I can take from this is if these gang stalkers decide to leap instead of talking shit like they usually do, then I don't have to live through the fucking world that they've created. Oh, thank Jesus. Oh my God. You see, that's why they don't want to kill us. Because then we'd have to live through the world they created on top of being gang stalked. No, thank you. No, I'm good. And like I said, I have no designs on doing anything to myself, but this is exactly why I do not fear death. It's because what the fuck have I got to look forward to? Why the fuck am I going to stick around just to live in the world that perps have created? And everybody can see what kind of world the perps have created. And we haven't even started yet. It ain't even started yet. Why the fuck would I want to live in a world they created? And think of this. We've got the energy crisis, right? We've got the energy crisis, which means that even though electronic weaponry is still being used, the lighter end of electronic weaponry, it's likely that they're not going to be used as much because of the amount of electricity it actually takes to run those things. But you know what doesn't take as much charge to run? You know the weapons whose charges last for years? The lethal kind of electronic weaponry. So where do you think that leaves everyone? Where do you think that leaves everyone? So the lighter end of electronic weaponry won't be used as much because of the energy crisis. But the lethal ones, them bad boys run on for years. So what do you think happens then? What kind of slaughter do you think will take place then? How many people do you think will end up with cancer? How many people do you think will die instantaneously? No, thank you. That's the world that Perps have created. You want it so bad, you fucking stay in it. You stay in it. Think I want to live with that? Get the fuck out of here. Like I said, I'm not, my eyes are not fixed on death like that. Like, but I'm okay. I'm okay if it comes to it. I don't want to live in a world these cunts have created. They fucking burn my ovaries. My ovaries are fucking swollen. And it's not even the having children or anything like that. No. I ain't bringing none of my fucking seed into any of it. Like, I ain't bringing no babies out of my womb into this fuck shit. There is no way in hell. There is no way in hell. You got me fucked up. There's absolutely no way. I've said it before, but beforehand, deep down I wanted children because I wanted a sense of normalcy, but people don't seem to understand how destructive normalcy actually is, because look at what it's fucking led to. But it's just my body. Like, when you're constantly abused every day, you feel like your body doesn't belong to you, and especially when you're being fucking tortured. That's the thing that fucks with me. Why did I let those people live? Why did anybody let those people live? They didn't suffer enough. They didn't suffer nearly enough. And none of these perps are suffering enough for my liking. These people think that getting their feelings hurt is what suffering is. They're going to learn. And they're going to learn, ironically, not because of me, but because of their own actions. Anyway, I gotta go. I've got to fucking focus on something happy. Maybe watch a stupid movie. Oh yeah, the laptop isn't coming for about like a couple of weeks or something. So when it comes to the full moon in Porfa Palguni and the new moon in, what's it again? I think it's Uttara Bhadrapada. I'm not sure though. I think it's definitely a full moon in Porfa Palguni. I know that for a fact. So when it comes to the full moon in Porfa Palguni, I'm going to be on Instagram again, and I'm actually going to start doing it in the afternoons rather than the morning, because that's when I seem to get more engagement. So yeah, anyway, you guys take care. I just had to get out that rant real quick. I love my fellow TIs. You guys know that. I love you guys down. Bye bye.